So I'm gonna start with a question that somebody emailed in. Unless any of you guys have a question already, I'm gonna jump in with a question that is probably gonna be a repeat for some people. But Ronnie asked me to talk about pre-washing in general, and pre-washing is this weirdly controversial thing. There are a lot of people that are like, no, you should never pre-wash, and there are people that are like, yes, you should always pre-wash, and people get very judgmental about it sometimes. So I'm just going to tell you what I'm doing. This isn't me telling you what you have to do, but I wash everything. I pre-wash everything. The main reason that I pre-wash everything is because I mostly do applique, and I have found that every once in a while, randomly, a piece will, the adhesive will not stick to fabric. And I know that when that happens, it's because of the sizing that the manufacturer applies. Manufacturers put sizing on all the fabrics so that when it's in the fabric store, it tends to resist dirt and dust and things like that. It's the same stuff they put on couches and things like that. It's like a stain protection kind of thing. And some of those are fine with fusible adhesive, and some of them are not. And they will repel it. And even the same fabrics in the same order from the same manufacturer, some of them will repel the adhesive and some won't. So I have started to just pre-wash everything. It doesn't hurt, so I just pre-wash everything. Don't use fabric softener. I just take my stuff straight from the box that it comes in, and I dump it right into the laundry hamper, and I just wash it with my clothes. I never use liquid fabric softener anyway, so that's not an issue. So anyway, I pre-wash everything. Again, that's mostly because I'm doing applique, and I am mostly using the fusible adhesive. If you do hardly any applique, then you might not want to worry about it. I'm told that batiks will bleed more than other fabrics. I've never noticed that to be the case with the stuff that I'm washing, but just in case, that's something to think about. And also, flannels will really shrink. So you do need to pre-wash flannel the first time you use it, before you use that in a quilt, because it will really shrink dramatically. But that's just my take on pre-washing. And I'll even pre-wash pre-cuts. I just put them in a lingerie or a sweater bag, depending on how many I have. A lingerie bag if it's just a few things, and a sweater bag if it's a whole bunch of stuff. And I wash it and dry it in the lingerie bag. It just cuts down a lot on the threads and that fraying, and the way longer pieces will like twist around each other and kind of knot together. Terry asks if I ever do any projects that need long arming. I did one project that I wanted to long arm. It was the Starry Night quilt that some of you guys did as a Block of the Month project. And I had worked everything out with the longarmer, and then something happened. I don't remember what, and I couldn't get it done. She needed to change the time that she was going to do it, and I never got back in touch with her. And I actually found that quilt top recently, so I'm going to get back in touch with that person. I just completely forgot about it. So I'm going to get back in touch with her, and I will blog about the experience of having something long-armed, because I've never done it before, and I think it's something that a lot of people are curious about. Do you recommend a good sewing machine that does well with free motion quilting? I have never successfully done free motion quilting. I've tried it, and it's really, really hard, but I will say that at Quilt Market a couple of years ago, I tried a Bernina that has the stitch regulator, and it was like magic. I mean, it was seriously magical, and it worked. Like it was like the perfect free motion that you see people doing. And I wasn't doing anything super complicated, but no matter what speed I moved it at, the machine adjusted it so that the stitches were all the same length, and it was really, really amazing. So when I bought the Bernina that I have now, and I've had it now I think for about 2 years, I made sure to get a model that I could upgrade with the stitch regulator. The stitch regulator for this level of machine is an add-on, but it's not complicated. You just plug it in. So at some point, like some year will be the year I say, this is the year I'm going to learn how to do free motion quilting, at which point I will invest in that stitch regulator and put it on my machine, because it did make a huge difference. It was magical. Anytime I've tried to do free motion quilting before, just by lowering my feed dogs and doing it, it's just been a mess. And I know it takes practice, but it has seriously been a mess, and it has also not been fun. But I do think that with the Quilt As You Go blocks that I do, the smaller blocks, I think it'll work really, really well because you could really move that thing around and do all kinds of fun designs without having a huge quilt that you're also trying to maneuver. So someday that will be really fun, and I can say that I tested the Bernina Stitch Regulator, and it was awesome. Oh, Terry does long arming. All right, I don't even know who I contacted before, so maybe I'll send you all the details and do that soon, because I did just find that, and it was very exciting. It's a star quilt that I really, really like, and it just needs lots of swirls and stuff that I'm not going to do on my machine. So I have, let's see, I don't see any other questions. Let me miss something, because they do scroll up and disappear. Okay, no other questions yet. So I'm going to jump into a couple of other questions that people had. Kate wanted to know what I listen to while I work. She wanted to know if I listen to books on tape or music or if I watch TV shows. And the answer depends on what I'm doing. At night, I save all of my handwork for the evenings because I like to do that with my family when I'm sitting and watching TV. I can't watch TV without doing something. So I will prep handwork during the day and then work on that in the evening while I watch TV. And then I just watch whatever I'm watching with my family. My husband and I like a lot of British dramas, but really it's whatever we're in the mood to watch. I don't actually ever listen to anything while I'm working during the day. Every once in a while I will have music on, and it needs to be music without words. Even if I'm not writing anything, I have a Pandora station that I've just been building that is all cello music, and I really like cello. So that's been really nice, but most of the time I just turn it off. And I never listen to books on tape when I work. I get focused on what I'm doing. And during the day is when I'm doing all of my design work and prototyping, and I'm really pretty focused. And any kind of a book on tape would just completely I would lose the thread completely of what's happening. So Donna asks what size sashing I would use with my blocks. I actually never use sashing with my blocks. That's not true. I did use sashing with the Controlled Chaos quilt. I just felt like it really needed a little frame around each of the blocks. And those were blocks, before I sewed them, they were 2 inches square, so they must have finished at about 1.5 inches, and I made the sashing so it would be the same width as a single row of blocks. So it finished at 1.5 inches square. I did some lessons on sashing in the Mix and Match Monsters, the cute Quilt As You Go Monster Applique class that I did with Craftsy. We did 2 kinds of sashing in there. Just a regular traditional sashing, but quilted first, and we also did some wonky sashing, which was really, really fun. And I don't remember how wide I made those, maybe 2.5 inches. I think they may be finished at 2 inches. I'd have to go back and look at that, but honestly, I hardly ever use sashing. And when I do, I'll use the wonky sashing is the one that I'm more likely to use. So Kitty Ann says that she purchased a Brother PQ 1500 high-speed straight stitch only machine just for free motion quilting. It has a long throat and a high space in which to squish all the fabric of the quilt, and she's had it for several years and had to practice a lot before she got the hang of free motion quilting. Yeah, that was the experience I had, was that it was just like huge long loops of bobbin on the bottom, and the top went from teeny tiny little short tortured stitches to these really long messy stitches. It was just kind of a disaster. But again, that was my first try, and I think I tried it a couple of times, but then it was magical when I tried it at Quilt Market with that stitch regulator. It looked like I had been doing it for years, which is always fun. So, okay, I don't see any more questions on here, so I'm going to jump over to, Joanne had a question, which feeds in nicely to something that I did today. So Joanne wanted me to talk about pattern design and how I develop a new pattern. And I have a new pattern that I have been working on, and just today sewed up the first real prototype of it. And so I can talk a little bit about what I did leading into that, and I can show you the prototype because it's really, really cute, and I'm really excited about it. So I always start with a sketch, In this case, well, I'll show you the finished thing. So, ready? I'm going to scooch back because it's kind of big. So I made a little lovey. Yay, hello. And I'm hoping that he is in focus. So, he's very squishy. What I wanted in making this guy. So I designed a sloth lovey for Dear Stella Fabrics. They asked me to make some sloths for them for Quilt Market to hang in their booth. And it was because sloths are fun, and it was also to show off some of their new fabrics. And I had so much fun making that I made the sloth quilt that I just released the pattern for last week. Was that just last week? I think it was. But I really, really wanted to make more loveys. My daughter she has a lion one that she really likes, with one exception. It's like a lion skin rug. You know, you see those like bear skin rugs and they have the big bear head that's sticking up? Well, hers is like a lion skin rug. So it's a big lion and then it has this stuffed lion head that sticks up. And she never really liked the lion head because it's stuffed kind of firm. And then, so it's like this blanket with a really hard lump attached to it. And so what I wanted to do is make something that was similar, that was nice and cuddly and soft, and that had a face on it, but the face is squishy. So I wanted it to be sort of like a cross between a quilt and a softie, but without any of the hard bits. So I looked at other people's loveys that there's a lot that have heads on them, and they're really cool looking and super cute. And for some kids, that's going to be exactly what they want because, like, it feels like a little stuffed animal, but then it has the blankie that drapes down. But my daughter always wanted it to act more like a blanket. So, and I couldn't find anything like that out there. So I was like, great, that's a great time for me to design something, is when I am looking for a very specific thing and can't find anything already out there. So I had already designed the lovey for Dear Stella, so I had a pattern to start with. But the sloth had really long arms and legs because I really wanted to make him very sloth-like. And for these, I wanted something that was a little more teddy bearish. So I used that, though, as a starting point. I liked the way his arms kind of come out of the sides of his head. To me, it looks like you're like reaching up for a hug. So I liked that shape where with the kind of like weirdly shortened head on there. So I kept that part and I shortened the arms and legs and I made them a little bit wider. I wanted everything to be like a little more fat, babyish. And I drew the face, so I actually pulled that out here. I've got my drawing of the face pattern. And then I had to draw the pattern piece on like a big piece of paper because its lovey is much bigger. So I had to like trace some pieces out of it, like make 8.5 by 11 blocks on it and fold it. I had to keep folding it and send it to a person that I know who knows how to draw things online, because for something this big, I couldn't draw it. I couldn't draw in GIMP. That's beyond my skill level, and it doesn't make any sense to learn a whole new software program just for one pattern. So I folded it and scanned that 8.5 by 11 part, and then I refolded it and scanned the next 8.5 by 11 part, and then I did that again. And I emailed all of those scans to her and the face, and then I asked her to draw it for me and tile it so that you guys would be able to assemble it. And I knew she has a lot of experience doing patterns for people, so I knew she would have a really good way to tile it. And then, like a day later, I realized, oh my gosh, if I made it just a little bit smaller, you could fit it on a single yard of cuddle fleece, which you couldn't do with the way I had drawn it. So I emailed her really quick, and I was like, hey, wait, if you haven't done it yet, like, could you also shorten it by like 2 inches? Like, it just needs to be just a little bit smaller to fit on the cuddle fleece, because I always want to make it, like, I didn't want you guys to have to buy 2 yards of cuddle fleece and have a ton of waste. So this way there's minimal waste, and you only have to buy a yard. So just this morning she sent them back to me, and I immediately like printed it out and taped it all together to make sure all the tiling was going to work, and then I laid it out on a piece to make sure, like I had planned, that it was going to fit on the single yard. and sewed him up. And I still had needed to do his ears because I needed him to have ears. So I made him up, and now he's here. So I still have things to do though, so he's not done. I love his face, and I love the ears, and I love the body shape. But there's a couple of things that I want to try out. One, I need to wash him. I want to make sure that he washes really well. Two, I want to test. So I used, if any of you have seen my lesson on faux trapunto, like a fake trapunto. Trapunto is like a stuffed quilting. So if you've seen my lesson on fake trapunto, this is very similar, this technique, except I didn't add any stuffing, because I was hoping that the poofiness of the cuddle fleece would give just enough stuffing to his face. And I really like the way it looks, but some people might want a little bit more stuffing in it. So I'm going to do another option showing it with the stuffing, and I'll have that in there as an option that you can do if you want to. So I'll show it with and show it without, so that you can have both of those options. And I'll need to wash that too and make sure that that works out well. I also, when I sewed this guy, so I cut the pieces out, but I didn't sew the front and back together until after I did the applique on the face. And I did all of the outline stitching around the face after I applied it to the cuddle fleece, because I wanted that to help secure it to the cuddle fleece. I didn't want anything shifting over time. I'm imagining this is something that is going to be washed and washed and washed and washed and washed and washed and washed. So I want it to hold up really, really well. So I did all of that stitching afterwards so that it also acts like a little bit of quilting. So the eyes and the nose and the little muzzle and the mouth, all of that acts like additional quilting. So I want to do another one without that and do all of the stitching on the face first before I applique it down, just to see what it'll look like if people do it that way too. So I'm really happy with the design now, but I still have a few more things that I need to go through in order to have to make sure that the pattern is super functional and it's going to work for everybody, and it's going to have a couple of different options for people who might want to do, like, make his face a little bit puffier. I want to make sure that he still feels very snuggly and soft and doesn't have, like, that if I stuff his face, I want to make sure that it doesn't feel hard and kind of defeat the purpose of what I was trying to achieve with this. And then I have to make another one and take pictures as I sew, so that I have to do at a certain time of day when the light will be good for a good, like, 2 or 3 hours, because that's how long it takes me. This took no time at all to sew up. It actually took me more time to tape all the pieces together for the pattern piece than it took me to sew them up. But when I sew for a pattern, it takes me a lot more time, because I sew a thing and then I take it over to my photo setup and I take a picture, and then I sew the next step and then I go take a picture, and then I sew the next step and then I take a picture, and it's like ridiculously slow how much time it adds to the whole process. So but I'm super, super excited about him. I also want to try making him up in some different colors. Like, I got that new really soft lavender, and I think it'll be really cute to make like a little purple bear. So this is my new thing that I'm working on, and hopefully that answers some of Joanne's questions about how I go about designing a pattern. So, yay, new guy. So if everything goes well, I might have this by the end of next week, but it's probably more likely that it'll be early the week after. So, and I'm so glad you guys like him, because I think he's really cute. Sherry says she never knew all of the time it takes. Yeah, it's kind of surprising sometimes. This is something that's newer, so like after I finish this guy and get the pattern really perfected, I have so many ideas for more that I want to make. Like, I want to make a cat, and I want to make a dog, and I want to make a bunny, and I think a mouse would be really cute. So I have a lot of others that I want to make, and my hope is that I'll be able to use the same body for them, partly because that'll make my life easier, but it'll also make your lives easier. Like I mentioned, it took me more time to tape the pieces together than it did to make the whole thing. So once you get them all taped together for the first one that you buy, the first pattern that you get, you'll save that pattern piece, and then you can use the same body for all the other ones, and you'll just need to have the different face and the different ears. So So that's kind of my thinking behind that. So the first one always takes the most time, and then after that, they take a little bit less time. At least the pattern formatting is going to be the same. I'll have already written the basic instructions. I'll just have to have all new photographs for it. So yeah, but it's fun. It is a lot of work, but it's really fun. And yeah, Christy is saying she bets he is so soft. He is, like, it's all I can do not to just snuggle up with this guy, because you know I love the Cuddle Fleece. And on the backs of my quilts, I usually use the smoother side of Cuddle Fleece, but on this one I used kind of the shaggier side. It's still not super shaggy, but I used the shaggier side, and I just love how he feels. So I can't wait for, my family is coming home tomorrow. Well, they are leaving there tonight from Jakarta, and they'll be home on late in the day on Thursday, and I'm really excited to show this to them. This was one of the ones today as I finished it, I was like, oh, I've got to show this to somebody, and there was nobody here, and Augie Dog really didn't care. So Sherry says, a dog and a mouse, yes. Just above my head, the red and blue squares. Those are some quilts that I used to make. I don't know if I can pull one down. Let me see if I can just turn this very slowly so it doesn't go super blurry. No, I don't think it's going to work. Let me see if I can reach one down. You guys can watch me break my neck on live on camera. Well, that's embarrassing that you guys could all see that dust fly out. So this is just a quilt block that I made. This is a strip piecing technique that I used to do a lot of. I probably have like 10 quilts around the house that are made with this technique. And I've been thinking about doing a video class for it. But it's really fun. It's a really easy strip piecing technique, and you get some really fun designs. So this is just one of them, and I framed it on a wooden frame just so I could hang it up. So I have a whole row below the windows up there, and I just filled it up with those. But you've seen a couple of people have asked about the strip piecing, because sometimes I do embroidery on it after I've stripped it like that. So like the Enough is as good as a Feast, that embroidery piece is on that same kind of strip pieced background, and also the Snow is Coming, the bird on the branch, kind of combination applique and embroidery piece is on a similar kind of strip pieced background, and I love the kind of dappley texture that it has. I'll pull it up again so you guys can see. I'll try and hold it super still. So it just makes this is laid out in kind of a basket weave pattern, but it makes just a really nice dappley texture, and it's a great way to use up scraps, especially if you have a lot of scraps of the same color. And I really think it makes a very, very pretty background for embroidery or applique. I use it, I've also got a few purses that I've made, and tote bags and things that I've made using the same strip piecing technique. So Terry offered to call 911 if I fell off of the stool there. Thank you. Kitty Ann says she never thought of stretching a block on a frame. That's cool. Yeah, my husband made me a bunch of those frames one year. They're just, I don't think you can see it inside. It's just got those like an L bracket inside to hold everything really stable and square. Unfortunately, I've taped over or stapled the stuff over it and around it, so you can't see it too well, but it's just a simple L frame, L bracket on the inside of each corner that holds it all together. And Terry says, not quilting related, but my sons both love my husband's writing, and they've read 2 of his books. That is awesome. Thank you. All right. Thank you very much, everybody. I will see you next